Just want to say thank you very much for taking your time out to speak to me today about the work you did on Encanto. So I'm going to start off with you, Jamil. What is Encanto all about?
It's about so many things, but most of all, it's about family and finding your magic within yourself. And it's a beautiful, beautifully told story through animation, and it's really about a young girl who doesn't really not sure what her gift is, and she has a family full of gifted individuals, and she's trying to find her place within the family, and ultimately realizes that she is the magic, she is the peace, she's had it all along. So it's a beautifully told story, and so happy to be a part of it.
And so where did your inspiration come from for sort of creating the dancing for the movie?
My inspiration, well, it's funny because I have a beautiful assistant choreographer, Kai Martinez. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Kai.
Right.
Who I brought on immediately when I got the job, because I was like, I really wanted to make sure that I had an authentic voice, and that the Colombian culture was represented in this film, and I asked her to be a part of this, and she was like, yes. So a lot of my inspiration came from her and the dancers. I created a skeleton crew that we had of Latinx dancers that came on board, and we would get into the room and we would just start vibing, and the choreography started to come together. So that was my bigger inspiration, as well as the music. Lin-Manuel's music was top notch, and
it is a great soundtrack. I'll be honest, I have been listening to it ever since I've seen the movie. And I'm gonna sort of ask as well, was there any kind of different dances that you did during the different styles and stuff you did throughout the movie?
Yeah, absolutely. So many different styles. We had salsa, we had cumbia, we had a little bit of joropo. Yeah.
We had some champeta in there, some reggaeton.
Absolutely.
We try to cover the different regions of Colombia, from the inland, that was more the joropo side, to the coastal areas, which is more cumbia, and there are more African influenced styles in the coastal regions, and vallenato as well, which is a huge musical style from Colombia.
And so I'm going to ask you, how did you kind of turn like the dance into animation, or how were you involved in that kind of process?
Well, this is it's kind of tricky, because it's tricky and simple at the same time, if that makes sense, because we have these in-depth conversations with our directors, and we're talking about story and how the movement can forward the story, and how it plays out in telling the story. So once we have those conversations, then we go into rehearsals and we start moving about. We come up with the choreography, we film it, and then we give it to our amazing animators. And once they have it, then they start to take it and put it on the characters themselves. So there's a storyboard process that we receive storyboards prior to, so we know where they are in the environments on each part of the song. So that's also there, but that's kind of the simple overall of how it's all done.
I was going to ask, did you have to use like mocap suits or anything like that, with like the little dots and stuff on, or did they just take it from what you were dancing?
It's funny. I actually asked that question because I was able to go back in and work with the animators after we finished the references. And we dissected each character and fine-tuned, made sure they were really on beat. And what I actually asked that question, and what they told me was that the mocap is too real.
Yeah.
So mocap is too real. It's used for like Marvel films and video games, but animators animate it to keep that element of fantasy, the element of cartoon. So what they're able to do, I really just gained so much respect for the way they're able to see something, and their analyzation of the body anatomy and weight transfers and all that is very similar to how we approach dancing and movement and creating. So working with them on the animation side was a joy, because once I realized, oh, we see things on the same level, it was just easy to go in and make sure and treat them almost as dancers.
That's cool. I was going to ask, how different was it working like through the pandemic than like it's normal?
You know, at this point, when we were almost a year, when we came on board, we were almost a year into the pandemic. So we kind of had, all of us had settled into the idea that we would be masked, that we would, you know, have to follow the protocol and kind of stay away from each other. But as you know, with this particular style of dancing, it's a lot of partner work. So yeah, we definitely stayed in our little bubble, and we knew how important this was. So we all were very, very careful about, you know, stepping outside the bubble, and we came together and really just took the precautions we needed to. But then when we were together, we were like, okay, let's go, let's do it. We got to make it real. We want to make sure that we connect, because really all this dancing is about connection, and you have to be in tight proximity of each other. So, but we worked it out. I mean, it wasn't a big deal for us, I think.
Yeah, I'll say one challenge was just scheduling, because take into consideration that people had to get tested for COVID 2 days prior. And so if people were unavailable, it was like, we couldn't just have a last minute person come in. So like what Jamal said, it was very important for all of us to take it like serious and just make sure we were all available for the different rehearsals.
I was going to ask you, Jamal, because you've worked on quite a lot of different shows and movies over your time. How different was it doing animation to doing sort of those kind of shows and movies like Aladdin?
Yeah, well, the funny part, Aladdin was interesting because it was live action, but then there were some animated parts. So we, you know, it was like half and half. And of course, when you're dealing with the actual actors, there's, you know, there's a limit of what we could do, right? There's like, you know, like I could push to but really we're dealing with live action. But with animation, there's like almost no limit. You know, they're like, if you want them to jump out the window and swing on a vine down to the you know, floor, we could do it. And that's the fun part about animation, is like all of our movement can be extended beyond our imagination. So that's what's funny about actually seeing it back, was like, we were like, that was our movement, but it was like on 10,000, you know. So, yeah.
And I'm going to ask you, Kai, what was it like for you coming in? Because obviously this is like one of your first projects you've kind of worked on. How was it overall?
Yeah, I mean, well, working on it in this capacity it's been like a complete dream. You know, I've been a professional dancer for over 15 years, but to come in on something like this that is Colombian, that is for Disney, that also working with Jamal and having someone to guide me, because I was very intimidated coming in. I didn't know, you know, I try to prepare myself and research and do all of the things prior to coming in. But once you step in the room and you're with other dancers that you respect, and, you know, I came in, I was nervous, but that's one thing, a testament to Jamal and the energy he creates as a leader in the room. It's like everyone's energy was just perfect. So I was able to let my guard down and my insecurities. And like, once we started getting into the flow, Jamal did something very cool, which is he made us all stretch together. And we all just kind of danced together at first to kind of just get in the vibe together. And I needed that probably more than anyone, because it really just allowed me to, you know, be present and trust my training, trust the work that I've done, and be able to really give my best to this project. So, you know, I've learned so much, and then working with the animators and being around, you know, Jared and Byron and watching them work, and just seeing how I've learned so much. I felt like this was a master class in all aspects of movie making.
So I'm going to ask you, which of your songs from this movie were your favorite to dance to?
All right. Well, I know mine is We Don't Talk About Bruno, which we
my
don't.
Favorite.
We end up on time. Definitely my favorite. It was our first number that we came up with. So it was our first time creating together, and the song is so infectious. Like, I go to sleep singing that song, even today, you know.
Yeah.
So it was incredible. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, same. I have it's close to my heart, especially when we heard it. We initially had Lynn's demo, so he was doing all the voices. Yeah. So which added an added challenge for us, because we're like, who's this? Who's here? And honestly, I would also say I really liked Waiting on a Miracle. Yeah, I think that was I think the last one we got to work on, and it was really cool to be able to just get into this emotion of this song. It's such an emotional song, and as a dancer to be able to express that through physical movement, it was really a joy to play with that.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm so we don't talk about Bruno. It's the one that's kind of got stuck in my ear, and I just keep going for it. But I want to say thank you so much for speaking to me today. Encanto is going to be coming to Disney Plus on Christmas Eve, so loads of people are going to be able to enjoy this over the holidays. So that should be so great for everyone. So again, just thank you so much for taking time out to speak to me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, Roger.
I'd like to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month, and you get access to our weekly Q&A and much more.